Tonight on the Cooligans, we talk about Trumpito talking soccer. Is he interested in soccer?
He says he's not watching anymore.
Okay. Let's really try to break this down and figure all this out.
Also, we're talking to Zarek Valentin. Oh my God, absolutely incredible. Houston Dynamo. Yo, this whole little tournament they got going on is going to be lit. We're going to talk to him about it. That and more on this episode of the Cooligans. Yeah, baby!
Let's go! Okay.
Come on, huh?
Vamos con todo.
Put it all on there.
Okay. This is going to be a fully loaded episode.
Uh-huh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cooligans. My name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
All right. We are your favorite stand-up comedians that host the funniest soccer show that you have ever witnessed.
Yep, but it's not just that, Christian.
It is not. What else is it, Alexis?
It just so happens to be the gulliest.
How convenient.
Yeah, that's right.
We have to, a lot's been going on in the soccer world, in just outside our windows. Again, props to all the people protesting, really trying to drive change into the world.
It's working.
We respect you. We admire you. Everything. It's just been, quite just a monumental shift in culture is honestly inspiring. So
very much so.
So let's talk about the big news that hit soccer Twitter a few days ago, which was obviously President Agent Orange was out. So U.S. Soccer, just to preface, U.S. Soccer said that the kneeling policy about the anthem was wrong. They repealed it. As soon as that happened, we had the representative from Florida stand up and said, "Oh, okay, wait, what is this soccer? What is going on to our flag?"
Someone explain to me what's happening in soccer and who allowed this to happen in this country.
Yes, please. Now let me bring the fake outrage.
Right.
And yes, and Matt Gaetz, who you've seen on C-SPAN, being a dummy. He's a big old dummy.
Yeah.
And he was he posted about how he's introducing a law. He's going to introduce a bill to basically punish U.S. soccer if they allowed people to not if they didn't force them to stand during the national anthem.
Right, which I believe should be called this actually can't happen. This is just grandstanding bill. I think that's what they're going to call it.
Yeah, he's basically saying, hey, I have a bill to just completely repeal the First Amendment. You know what? I'm done with the First Amendment, to be honest.
Guys, we tried it. Yeah, we're a little bit of a sample, right? We've decided it's not for us.
Yes, it was real cute for the time that it was in place, but no thank you. No.
Yeah.
So everybody started piling on this dude, being like, yo, you're ridiculous. And then we get a tweet from the president himself, which is
just here to amplify any garbage he finds.
And he says, he basically retweets the story.
He
and
quote
he goes,
tweets it.
Yeah, he goes, I won't be watching much anymore. Oh, no. Okay.
The anymore is, how could you have watched it prior and just glossed over everyone talking shit about you in the stands? How? The people legitimately make signs about how much they hate you. How are you watching this?
Yes, I won't be watching much anymore. There's no way. No one believes that statement, right?
No.
Because Trump has no opinion on soccer.
We know his kid's a fan.
His kid is a fan. I believe Barron is a Arsenal fan.
Well, he was given Arsenal because Stan Kroenke, just continuously winning, gave him free. I mean, there he is, just always making the right decision, Stan Kroenke. Just Arsenal fans love you, buddy. Whatever you want. The mustache, not weird at all. So he gave the kid a full kit. But when we were at ICC, he was there to see the Arsenal match.
Yes, correct. Yes,
we're like, who are all these dudes in suits, man? They're really aggressive, and get that kid out of there.
In Charlotte, that's right. Barron was there. But this idea, like Trump said this about the NFL as well. He said, you allow kneeling, and I'm not gonna be watching much anymore. He's too busy watching Sean Hannity. There's no time in his TV schedule to get in a soccer game, an NFL game, or anything.
No, did Fox News start carrying soccer games? Is that what's happening? Is OANN gonna start showing soccer games?
Okay,
get out of here! Nobody believes you've ever even seen a soccer game.
So, but my favorite wrinkle in this story was the beef between Matt Gaetz and actor Ron Perlman.
Not much of a beef because Matt Gaetz got cooked, boy.
but Ron Perlman is Hellboy. If you guys have remember
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but he really went out after him. And I'll quote him. He says the U.S. soccer team called, and you guessed it, said they couldn't give any less of a about what you two dipshits think. I'm like, yo,
my guy,
Ronnie.
We gotta have Ronnie on the show.
Okay, this is the type of the soccer supporter. This is what they talk like. This is what they sound like. So I don't know who Gaetz and Trump think they're messing with.
Nah, son, we ready.
All right, we'll be back with Zarek Valentin of the Houston Dynamo right after this.
And we're back on Cooligans Living Room FC. Finally, our guest is here. This is exciting. Is this the first Boricua we got on the show, Christian?
Okay. It's long overdue, okay?
I've been saying, we need a Puerto Rican on this show, right? Just get the trinity of Caribbean Latinos in here. We got the Cuban, the Dominican, and now the Puerto Rican. When we come together, let me tell you something. Oh, boy, there's no car radio safe. But this dude, we're really excited. We got a chance to meet him briefly when we were in Portland. We've been following this dude's career. He plays for the Puerto Rican national team, which some of you right now have just gotten in a car accident because you didn't know existed. It's not just a basketball team, my guy. This dude, absolutely amazing. Good friend of the show. So glad he's here. You know him from your Houston Dynamo. We're going to talk to him about the group of death. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only, Zarek Valentin, baby. Valentin.
Thank you very much. Hey, listen, we're all friends.
Yeah. I made fun of that, and then I made the mistake anyway.
Perfect. You should have went Spanish. Valentin. It's easy.
Valentin.
There it is.
Valentin coño.
Zarek, thank you so much for joining us, man. This is long overdue. We've been, following you for a long time, especially when it comes to MLS players who are comfortable, being on camera, being on podcasts, sharing how they feel. You are one of those people, man, and we are huge fans of you. So to start, let's at least just I want to ask, how are you doing? How is it back to be in training, and how are you getting ready for this upcoming MLS Is Back Tournament?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. I'll just go with we're saving the best for last as to why I've had to wait to come on. But huge fan. We've known each other for a little bit. I stopped on for your birthday a little bit ago.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Of course. So it's just been fun. I think that throughout this entire process, as players, we've learned to value the simple things in life. And it's interesting because I had a talk with Pablo Mastroeni, who's one of our assistant coaches. And, he's the most upbeat, positive guy in the world. And I go, what's your favorite Starburst? And he was like, the pink one, obviously, right? And he goes, yeah, well, I actually like the other flavors. And I go, what do you mean? I was like, I just want the pink flavor. He goes, well, when you have the rest of the flavors that suck, it makes the pink ones that much better. So when you go through individual trainings and you're running fitness and it's hot as cojones here in Houston, suddenly we're back and it just feels amazing. We get to kick people, you get to meg people in 5v2 and stuff like that. So it's been fantastic.
Okay.
What a great way to look at it. I know they sell the bag of just pink, and I've had that. And I got to be honest, you get tired of it after 4 or 5.
Exactly. So he was saying he prefers just like, I guess, I don't know if he like self-torture, but he eats like the yellow ones where it just tastes like plastic. And then suddenly you get the old pink and you're like, this is it.
He's like those comedians that get on stage and say something that annoys the entire crowd and then dig out of that hole because it's more exciting. There's more risk involved.
100%.
But I do love candy-based life lessons. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
It's a good approach.
It makes it easy. 100%.
It's like, if you're chewing, all peanut M&Ms are the same color and the same taste. It's like, oh, wow.
I know. Listen, I heard someone recently talk about they were dealing with their children with racism with M&Ms. They might be different colors on the outside, but on the inside, we're all the same.
Damn, we're all nuts, kid. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I hope people are using the candy M&Ms and not the wrapper M&M. It's a little bit of a different lesson, a little bit more complicated.
We're all from Detroit. Just go with it, kid.
The tournament, you are up against LAFC, LA Galaxy, and your former team, the Portland Timbers.
I knew it was going to happen.
Nice, easy group, huh?
Nice
little walk in the park for the old Houston Dynamo boys.
Listen, me and Christian Ramirez walked in, looked at each other, like, all right, I guess this is what we're going to do.
That's right. He's going against LAFC. Yeah,
exactly. So we had a good little laugh, but it's exciting, man. I always say that to be a better team and to push yourself, you have to play the best teams. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's honestly too much goes around by having an easy group. I mean, none of these games are going to be easy. We're all having a limited preseason after being in quarantine, and we're going to go play somewhere where it's hot. And if anything, that might be a little bit of an advantage to us because it's almost 95, 100 degrees every single day here. But then again, when you get down there and suddenly you cross the lines, everything gets the same. But it's exciting. I knew we were going to get Portland in our group. I just had a feeling. But regardless, it's going to be exciting. I know that it's been a little bit of a long, drawn-out process, but we're ready for it.
Okay. If you score against Portland, would you celebrate or would you do the hands up? No, hey, slowly walk back.
I'd probably do some sarcastic, like, high fives, like social distancing high fives, but nothing crazy. I mean, you can't celebrate when there's no fans there. What are you going to do? Like, run over?
Yeah.
I mean, so nothing crazy. But, I mean, I have a lot of respect for that organization. So I probably wouldn't, just because I made some good friends and have a lot of good history there. And I wouldn't want to – I'm excited for my team. But I've already told them. I've told the fans and I've told the TA, when I play you, I want to beat you. And you respected me for always playing 110%, and you got behind me, so I'm going to do that when you play the team. Of course. I'm sorry, and I want to beat you. I'm sorry, and I hope we beat them bad, because that's just how I am. I'm super competitive, and that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah, man. It is. Let's talk a little bit about your connection to the Timbers, because when you were taken in the expansion draft by Nashville, and then subsequently traded to the Dynamo, but your connection to the Timbers is something you don't really see with a lot of players and their organization. People were, and I'm not even a Timbers fan, and I'm like, I'm sad. I know this hurts everybody, and
it's like trading Timber Joey. That doesn't make sense.
That's a big compliment.
Just Timber Joey with NYCFC would just make
Homeland
no sense.
Security won't let him bring the accent. He's like, no, you don't understand. It's my thing. The tree got on the subway. I can't get this thing.
Emotionally, what was that transition like for you?
It was tough, and I'm not shy about that. It was one of these situations where Portland was home. I had my first child there. My wife and I finally got to live together after doing distance for a while. We got married there. We bought our first house. So that was home. And obviously it's very difficult. And I had so many incredible relationships with the fans, with local charities. New Avenues for Youth is what my Ribbon Z campaign benefited. We were able to donate over $20,000 to them in the past few years. And I just tried to engulf myself as much in the culture and learn about the city and find out what makes Portland weird and love that. And I think that when you go anywhere, when you go to Montreal and you try to learn French, which I try to do, when you go to Norway and try to learn Norwegian, and go to Portland and learn the differences between coffee roasts and do whatever you got to do.
That's the language they speak.
That's the language of love in Portland.
Or, to be able to donate, differentiate between IPAs. It's very different. There's hazies. You got
Right.
different ones from locally. So it's all. I think when you engulf yourself in the culture, I think that you develop a deeper connection with the fans. And I'm looking forward to doing that in Houston. I've been in quarantine longer than I've actually been able to leave the house, so it's a little bit goofy. But I have the utmost respect for the fans in the city, and obviously the organization too that helped me, really kind of get my career back on track. So there's definitely always going to be some feelings there. But I was ultimately excited to be taken because when a team reaches out and trades their starting goalkeeper to acquire you, that gives you a feeling. I've never been traded for like that. Yeah. So for me, that was such a touching moment from a club. And I was excited because I know Tab and I knew Matt, and what the club here is putting together is exciting. And hopefully we get to, continue to move that forward.
All right.
What is it?
Hold on, Alexa. We have to take a break. We'll be right back right after this.
We're back on the Cooligans Living Room FC with Zarek Valentin. I'm messing with you. One of the things that strikes, that sort of surprised me a little bit when I look at your career is I don't recall you having been in Norway with Glimt, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. What was that switch like to go from getting drafted by Chivas USA, which again, some of you might not even remember that. That was LAFC before the redesign. Yeah. Somebody said Los Angeles, formerly Chivas for LAFC, and I can't stop laughing at that. But so you go to Montreal Impact, and then from there, what made you decide to go to sort of go to Scandinavia?
That was pretty wild, to be completely honest. Obviously, the experience with Chivas was great. I had an incredible time there. It's just fun. It's like cult that if you didn't know, it's almost like you missed out on like the wildness and the randomness. And now, like those jerseys, everyone used to rag on them, but now if you show up in like a Chivas USA jersey, everyone's like, okay.
Yeah.
Especially because it says Corona on it. Right now, you're like, ah!
People thought we used to work for Corona. They go, oh, that's great. Is the headquarters in Los Angeles?
It's a good business.
Yeah. That's like my sister. I'm an Arsenal fan. Wanted to buy me an Arsenal jersey many years ago. She's like, every time I Google it, some team called the Fly Emirates pop up. You need to fix that. And I'm like, no, Michelle.
No, it's so true. So with the expansion draft, got picked up by Montreal, had a good year there. Jesse got let go, and then a new coach came in. And it was pretty clear that I wasn't in the plans, which is fine. I mean, I'd prefer a coach just be like, listen, we're trying to move you. Let's figure out a good situation. Then like, well, who knows? Gonna see. We'll just play hard. So it's a good story. I was trying to actively leave, and they were searching through some things, and I think they were trying to trade me. And lo and behold, Matt Jordan, who's here now, actually in Houston, our GM, came to find me after training. He's like, hey, do you mind if we chat? And I was like, yeah, I got to take a shower real quick. I'll see you in a second. He goes, no, we got to chat now. And I was like, all right. It's completely naked. So I had to put on a towel, walked up like in the middle of this thing, like, you know what? If I'm not going to shower, I'm just going to show up to this thing, like basically naked. And he was like, hey, what do you know about Norway? And I was like, I don't know. How are you? So then he's like, we got a call today from a club in Norway that wants to bring you in on loan. Have you heard anything as your agent? And I said, I have no clue. Turns out Jan Halver was an assistant under Baca in New York. And when they were scouting players for the draft, Jan spoke really highly of me to Baca, but they knew that I wouldn't fall to the Red Bulls in the 2011 draft.
Yeah.
So when he got a job in Norway, they needed an outside back. So he called me. Funny thing is, they're like, oh yeah, it's a first division club. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me think about it. Weekend goes by on 3 days. I said, yeah, I flew out Monday. City, 40,000 people, northern part of Norway, wild experience. It's like when Rocky lands in Rocky IV, snow everywhere. It was incredible. I found out that the first division's actually the second division.
Ooh, that's how they get you.
So it was like, it's the Tippeligaen, and then it was like the Obos first division. And I was like, oh, first division, okay.
Yeah.
This is my
You're like, championship? Well, don't mind if I do. What do you mean, Premier?
So it was literally that. Lo and behold, though, my team was stacked. We set a record up until last year for most points in that league. We, from that team, we had a guy go to Galatasaray, played for Stoke. Now we have another guy who played in Turkey. We had a really good team. And it was just like an incredible experience. Again, I tried to immerse myself in the culture. I learned Norwegian. Just met the people, tried to go hiking as much as I could. It was a beautiful talent above the Arctic Circle, reindeer, stuff like that. So it was a really incredible experience.
That's wild. All right. There was another story I wanted to bring up. This is more recent. This was there was an article about you in Complex magazine about some Nike, some sneakers.
Oh, we got a Puerto Rican tastemaker in the house, huh?
Okay. So this is the story. I'll kind of summarize it a little bit. But you are a representative of Nike, right? And you yes, you are a Nike athlete, and you received apparently a pair of off-white Nikes. You were wearing them, but apparently these are not available to anyone. And a couple people were pretty upset seeing you wear these.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very lucky to be a Nike athlete. I'm happy to be part of a company that is so firm in their beliefs. And, I try to be like that. So to be a part of a company that's the same way. And listen, I made some friends, and eventually, like I said, I probably shouldn't have got this thing shown up at my doorstep. And I just like shoes, and I wear them. And suddenly, at some point, word kind of got out. Like I said, I'm not shy about posting stuff about shoes. Look at me; half my Instagram is all of me in shoes. And like I said, I had a fun pair that was sent to me, and I might have to put them in the little glass case in my garage somewhere now, as hopefully they don't get stolen.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to, I guess I would call you a sneakerhead because your Instagram.
Sneaker aficionado.
My bad.
Sneakerheads, I think, get a negative connotation for just liking necessarily what's cool and like just wanting something because everyone else wants it. I like shoes. I worked a little bit with some people at Nike, did like the process of making a shoe and the thoughts and the designs and things like that. So for me, I enjoy like different materials, and I'm picky about leathers and stuff like that. So that's why I call myself an aficionado as opposed to like, I like Supreme.
Yeah. Well, then are we going to do a crep check right now? What are we wearing, or we don't wear shoes in the house?
We don't wear shoes in the house.
Okay.
My mom was born and raised in Japan, so it sucks. Maybe some house slippers. Yeah. But on a side note, Nike did cancel their Puerto Rico.
But I know they did. They canceled the Puerto Rico Air Force Ones because the flag was reversed on the tongue.
Brutal. Dude, it's so sad. I mean, if you're looking down, I guess it's normal. But if it's like looking out, I guess it's. I don't know.
That's also kind of dope, though. I think low key was because there's no Puerto Rican Day Parade, and they're like, "Who's gonna buy these?" You know what I mean?
I was gonna buy them. Now they're like $700 now, just because the flag is backwards. Like, listen, you don't even know what a coquille is, so don't even talk to me about the frog on the inside of the shoe.
I know. Come on, Nike. I personally, there's no Cuba Air Force Ones. Give me something. There was a Dedo Mio for the Dominicans. Y'all got your own, even though it's canceled. We can't get one. We can't get one with a little bit of toilet paper on it for all my Cuba heads. We can't get toilet paper on the island.
That would be incredible.
So when it comes to, because I saw you posted on Air Max Day. I'm a huge fan of Air Max 90s. Those are my favorites. I have a couple Air Max 1s, but how many when it comes to Air Maxes, how many of those do you have? And then also in general, what's the sneaker collection looking like? What are the numbers at?
I was wearing 90s today, actually.
Oh, I'm a big fan of 90s 1s, 95s. I was wearing
the Bacons. Do you know which
Of course, yeah, Dave's Meat Shop.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
It was the first, Dave's Meat Shop. Yeah, it was the first ever concept store. So he built out this store to basically be like a butcher shop and sold these shoes that look like pieces of bacon when you put them together. Materials are incredible. They're like 16-year-old shoes. They're going to fall apart, but I'm trying to give them one last hurrah. But in terms of amount of Air Maxes, I love 1s. I love 90s. And I would say, not that many. I'd probably have 10-ish pairs between both of those.
Okay.
I'm more of a Jordan guy. I have a lot of J's.
I've seen those. You post those quite a bit. I'm the opposite. I do not like Jordans at all. There's almost none that I'm a fan of.
I'm a Knicks fan. It just hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, fair enough.
It burns to wear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like you wouldn't wear Sounders sneakers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, they'd smell too bad. So
the Obafemi 1s. You know.
In all fairness, though, he was a baller.
He was great.
He was fun to watch too. And he was just. I remember we played him in preseason one year, and just like I walked up to him, he's just one giant muscle. He's just like a giant like quad. And so like you see him, and he's like one of the fastest guys in the field, but then like can probably bench press like 360.
Jeez.
And he was an animal. But overall, I only have like 100 pairs, I think, in my collection. I try to go for quality, not quantity. It's
only has 100 pairs. I don't even have room in this apartment for that. We'll be back with more after this.
We are back with Zarek Valentin of the Houston Dynamo. Zarek, we were talking about Portland a little bit before. I wanted to bring up another issue that you were, again, very vocal about, which was the iron front symbol. We spent a lot of time talking about this on our show last year, and it was a big issue across the league. You were one of the few players that you showed up to a game wearing the iron front on your shirt. You always very supportive as far and active when it came to social issues. What was it like, and did you get any kind of pushback when it came to being so vocal about that?
Actually, no. I think that one of the things that I try to pride myself on is listening to why it's important, because I think that if you look at the issue from afar, you don't really understand it, and you can get lost in narratives, and even a lot of stuff that's going on with Black Lives Matter. If you don't dive in and speak to your friends and understand, then you don't really understand the crux of the issue. So I spent a lot of time talking to some of my friends in the TA about why that was important for them. And it was more than just a banner. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting passionate about this, guys.
No, good, man.
But it was more than just a banner, obviously. So when you kind of dive into that and you hear, the fact that this was their safe place, and the TA is one of the most inclusive groups, if not the most inclusive supporters group. I know all of them are, but they're super outward about all their, just how they don't care where you're from or what you are. When you're there, we're, supporters of the Timbers, and that's what I love about sports, is the fact that no matter what political parties and all this stuff, you go there to watch a team. And it's interesting because if we can all rally behind a team, we should be able to figure something out in the rest of our lives, at least in my eyes. But no, there was no pushback at all. Obviously, it was my decision to go on and wear the shirt just to support the supporters. They're with us through thick and thin. So the best thing we can do is to be, with them when they need us, when they need someone to stand firm. And Stephen Fry was big on that on the end for the Sounders as well, because it was a joint thing, I believe, with them. Atlanta was up there, maybe Kansas City, and I think the Galaxy were really strong about the iron front symbol. And I think rightfully so, the league amended the rule change in which they did. And like I said, I think that it's all for a cause that's close to MLS supporters' hearts. It's not just, Minnesota was big too, so it's not just like one or two teams. This was a bunch of clubs, so it was fantastic to see the progression.
When you do something like that, when you make the decision to wear this shirt, which clearly your photograph is going to be taken on the way in, people are going to see it, it's going to make headlines, right? When you do something like that, what is the reaction from like your agent? Are they like, come on, sweet buddy, you got to wear a shirt, or do you not? Do they understand? No, dude, that's Zarek. He's going to do it.
Yeah, well, my agent, it just kind of knows how, when I commit myself to something, like I'm in it, and I'm going to be passionate about it, and I'm going to try to go about things in a respectful way, no matter what I care about. I'm not going to get defensive or call people out or criticize people for not believing the way I think, but I'm going to try to help persuade them and give them my perspective. And I had a lot of very constructive conversations with Merritt as well, and he was open about talking to me and relaying the information, and we had some good talks. And ultimately the thing that I'm most sad about is that game I tore my hamstring in the middle of the game, and Jordan Morris runs past me and gets, I think, an assist or two. So like for me, I look back and I think like how I was basically injured, but the way that was handled, I think was a step in the direction that the supporters across the league needed. And it was something where, again, if without the supporters, our league doesn't exist. No one cares. It's what makes these games fun to watch. It's why it's one of the most growing sports in the country, is because our supporters are so passionate. So to be their supporter for something I felt honored to do so.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, I mean, you have photos pictured, the End Gun Violence shirt supporting women, supporting the Thorns. I love seeing that. I wish more players were that kind of vocal and out front when it comes to that stuff. The other thing I wanted to talk about was
as long as they're on the right side, because there is also Jeff Cameron, right? So there's both sides of it.
There's a couple of Twitter accounts we're not huge fans of,
Oh, man.
Anyway, I wanted to talk about the bet that you made with the ribbon bet with Haley Rosso, who's from the Thorns. Can you talk about how that happened and give a little bit of detail of what it was in general?
Yeah, I'll give the elevator pitch on this one. So basically, I'm a huge supporter of the NWSL. I think there's so many ballers in that league, and obviously with the Thorns games, the Thorns team is great. And I've met and started to meet some of the Dash players, and they have some good players as well. Sadly, I haven't been able to watch a game because they haven't even started up.
Yeah.
So I was going to a bunch of these games, and I kept running into this one drunken fan, Russell. He's a good buddy of mine. And he kept running to me, hey man, how's it going? And I was like, hey, bud, how's it going? He's like, you won't wear a ribbon in your hair like Haley, you little weakling. And I was like, all right, buddy, get out of here. So like 3 times that happens, and I go out for a beer with Megan Klingenberg. I think they had a bad result, and she's like, hey, let's just grab a beer. I need to just like decompress. And I was like, cool, no problem. So I show up, and it was her and I think 1 or 2 other players, I forget. And Russell, lo and behold, stumbles in. Hey, buddy, how's it going? You won't do this. And, of course, then when the Thorns got it, then they started egging me on. And it was one of these like, oh, you're not down. And it was like, well, yeah, I am. So then I tweeted out, if I got 10,000 retweets, I would wear it in a bow in my hair like Haley for a game. Less than 24 hours later, I was at like 12,000, and I was like,
of course. Of course.
Well, because all the women were hyping it up. The Australian women's national team was like retweeting it and stuff, dude. And it was trending in Australia. It was a whole mess. So then, like, we basically said, my wife and I, she's like, first off, you're an idiot. Second, if people are willing to get behind this cause, maybe we can like do something to, benefit. It's Pride Month. You're playing for Pride. Maybe we can figure something out. So we sat down and brainstormed and ended up selling ribbons. And I should have brought one. Damn it, I forgot. Just little ribbons. And you go and you tie a ribbon, and we sold them for $1 each. And sold out first game. And then I was like, whoa, we're generating some money. So after a full like 3 or 4 games, Thorns games and the Timbers games, we sold $8,000 worth of these ribbons, which is wild. So people would put 20 in and take 5, and it was pretty cordial. So we raised $8K, and I donated it actually to New Avenues for Youth, which is a charity in Portland. So LGBTQ plus community, homeless youth. So trying to help them get back on their feet and stuff like that. So then the next year I was like, let's double it. Let's see how we can do. And I was like, well, I don't really know how we can double that. So let's try to, I said, Portland's a huge patch community. Let's sell patches. So we ended up selling 5 patches throughout 5 games, 3 Thorns, or 3 Timbers, 2 Thorns, and ended up selling over $30,000 worth of patches at the 5 games. And then was able to write 2 checks for $12,000, one in New Avenues for Youth, and then another at the Q Center in Portland. So we were able to donate that. So we were able to actually triple the total instead of double it. And it just goes to show, if you have a platform, I believe you have to use it for good. You have to do it because if people can, if we can raise money for kids because we buy patches or sell ribbons, like why aren't we doing more of that? And sadly, this year has kind of been goofy, but it's been something that I'm super passionate about.
For Unreal. Sure. That's incredible. Insane. We got more with Zarek when we get back after this.
All right, welcome back to the Cooligans. We are here with Zarek Valentin of the Houston Dynamo. And Zarek, I wanted, since we were talking a little bit about NWSL is returning. It is the first U.S. league to be returning after the coronavirus response and all this stuff.
You wouldn't know from watching the news, but trust me.
I know, which is a hook of crap, by the way.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and I guess it's from your perspective, because the Portland Thorns are a very unique club in how well they are supported. Other NWSL teams, other MLS teams don't get the same amount of support that the Thorns do and did. What is your perspective of playing on the men's side as a way to be an advocate for NWSL and help support it and help push it forward?
I think you have to practice what you preach. I think it's you have to do more than just go like, oh, like these games are great. Like, no, you have to go consistently. And I think for me, going to those games, proved to be that, like, that aha moment in terms of how good the quality is and how fun they are. Most people like say, oh, I'm not a huge fan of, watching baseball on TV, but I'd love to go to a game. So why don't you take that approach when it comes to the NWSL? A lot of times people go and it's like, this was fantastic. They're banging in goals and the fans are involved and it's great. And I think that a lot of people are so hesitant to do so. And for me, if you're going to speak well about all the players and stuff like that, you have to support them. Our soccer in America, we're a community. You know what I mean? Like the Chivas USA, like we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And for me, I just love supporting the girls because there's incredible players. And, I was talking to Jane Campbell for the Dash. Incredible goalkeeper. She's very good. And to just kind of just have a chat with her, and she played with the U.S. women's national team for a little bit, I think that just shows how the quality is very high. And, I'm excited to see their tournament or whatever they're calling it in Salt Lake.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast to watch.
Yeah, and then also the MLS Is Back tournament. You are, you haven't played too many games with your new team, but we had a question also from our supporters, the Gully Squad, and they. So one of the questions that we had was about your new coach, your coach. I mean, he's not a new coach to you, but to the Dynamo. But how has Tab tactically, how do you feel is that? How are you adjusting to this new team and working with Tab Ramos? Like, what has been? What do you guys sort of expect from the tournament in Orlando?
Well, first off, I've loved it. Tab's ideas are crystal clear, and everything's spelled out, and your expectations are very just right in front of you. And if you execute them and do well, you're probably going to play, and if you don't, then you won't. But at least you know exactly what is necessary from each position, which is fantastic. And a lot of it is kind of, a little bit of a framework, but then also he allows players to express themselves in their own ways because, do you know what I mean? You can give a painter a paintbrush and he has to go out and do his own thing, but obviously you might have to give him the supplies, get him the canvas and the paint and everything like that and the brush, and then let him do his thing. So I'm super excited, and we haven't played an incredible amount of games, but I was kind of joking around how as a new coach, this has just been like a wildly long preseason because we had our first preseason, 2 games in which we're like test runs, and then we got another mini preseason, win it again. So a lot of newer coaches don't have access to kind of extensive time with the team. So hopefully we can put out a good product because the ideas are there. It's just a matter of us executing them. And he's provided some like things that have like kind of blown my mind in terms of just like, I can't say too much, but just like his ideas are top notch.
No. Say it on the show. All right.
We're going to make sure we send this out to the other 25 teams.
Yeah. No, in particular to Portland, LA. When you look at a situation like this tournament that you have coming up, there's not much else in your career that maybe prepares you for something like this, other than maybe you were at IMG, right? Mm-hmm. Which is kind of similar, right? It was campus, a bunch of no fans, right? It was just players playing, right? Yep. And, a little bit of a, kind of like a campus feel to it. But as far as like the structure of the tournament, is there anything that you look back and you sort of try to pull some inspiration from? This is almost like a U.S. Open Cup if that's all that existed, right? If there was no professional league attached to it.
I said the best part is we have a coach that played in World Cups and coached in one. And this is pretty much that. And in terms of the kind of the tactical sense about everything, but obviously it's a little bit goofy because the three, I was thinking about it in my head and obviously just me overthinking something. But we have 3 group games and 3 count towards the regular season. But let's say you win your first 2 and you're out of the group. Do you still play the last one and play your starters and try to get the points? Or do you rest people and try to win the tournament?
Yeah. It's
because you know what I mean? Are you thinking whatever way? Because if you play, in a World Cup, you rest the starters, no problem. Or maybe you rotate half the squad. But since it's different and like, obviously the prize money and all that stuff, like that's only for the first place teams. So you want to win, but you also you'd rather win MLS Cup than you'd rather win this little tournament. So it's kind of interesting how I think that the approach is going to be taken, and we have no idea. We've only just been literally training and getting fit and stuff like that. But I imagine there's going to be some sort of internal battle between, coaches and stuff, where the prioritization goes, if anything.
Have you been watching Bundesliga and how they've come back? I mean, it seems like without fans there's no such thing as a home field advantage. Teams are losing 6-0, 4-0. Have you been watching that? Is there anything you can really draw from that?
The only thing I'm really thinking about when I watch those games is the guy in like the sound booth that's sitting there just like some like DJ, like boo, boo, boo,
yeah,
hiss, hiss. So I can just imagine someone like sitting up there like vibing, like, and then just like having to figure out, like someone gets fouled and suddenly the whistles go in, and
as long as it's not David Guetta, right? We don't need that anymore. We got it.
We don't need any more remixes. We're good.
I think
David just woke up from a cold like the Undertaker. He's like, does somebody need me?
Unbelievable. I think the biggest thing is, I think from a playing standpoint, I think the first game, trying to minimize injuries, because there was a bunch in that first weekend. And then players are kind of getting back into it a bit. So if you can minimize that, that's a good place. But I think for me, it's great because I can yell at everybody now. There's no fans.
And we're going to be able to hear it.
I can yell at the left winger, no problem. Great. So for me, it's gonna be perfect. But like I said, I watch those games and it's always fun to see guys go back out there. It's really odd though. I'm expecting someone to like, do you ever see the guy who scores a goal with an empty stadium and hops and goes in the fans and
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that one.
Because I think this will be an opportunity for for not only the broadcaster, like if ESPN or Fox are broadcasting the game, to La Liga is doing the digital fans, cardboard fans. Like MLS has to do something wild to get some wild highlights so that more people are aware and get more publicity. So, I mean, Zarek, you want to be that person? We're jumping into the stands. Feel free. You want to yell the Cooligans during a game? Yo, we will not stop you.
It's funny because we were in college. We used to have dumb things, and maybe because we probably knew we were going to win most games. But like, people would dare me to say words on the field. You know what I mean? Just like
comedians do this to each other. We were like, yo, you got to say this word in your set.
Exactly. It'd be like salmon and like guitar, and you know what I mean. So you're just like, we're playing him off the field like a guitar, guys. Keep it up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll be doing that in the professional.
It's like you hear a comic yell like, "What are you, a huckleberry?" There's only 4 people in the back of the room laughing. The crowd's like, "That's not even a word. Like, what are you talking about?" And we're dying because they figured out a way to say it. We'll be back with more after this.
We are back with Zarek Valentin, and so we have some questions from, again, our supporters, the Gully Squad. A couple questions from MJ Lee. We'll get to as many as we can. I don't know the background of a lot of these, but I'm assuming you do. So her first question is, did you finish doing the Marie Kondo thing?
I did. I got rid of so much clothing and clutter. So the whole point is to declutter your house. Yeah. Clothing. Then you go like button-ups and shoes. I gave my friends a bunch of shoes and just going through. And for me, it was cathartic to just get rid of stuff because you accumulate a lot of junk that you don't realize. So for me, I finished, and I would advocate that everyone should do it. I think it's really great that you also realize, if you can take a bunch of clothing and donate it to someone who needs it, then it's, even better. You get less clutter and then you give it to people who need it.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Well done. So she also asked, what sparks joy for you now?
What sparks joy?
Besides this interview.
This interview. For me, it's my son, who's 9 months. Every day something's new. He's more interactive, and I'm sad to leave for 3 weeks or hopefully longer because I'm going to come back and he's going to be like walking. He'll probably like dap me up when I come back in. What's up?
He's like, this is my room now, Pop.
So for me, it's been my son is just spending time with him is fantastic and something that I look forward to. Even if you're tired, you get excited for it.
Okay, yeah, that is. I remember seeing the image of the baby reveal that you did with the Air Force Ones. What's it like being a dad now? How's that affected your quarantine?
It puts everything in perspective, and a lot of times you kind of figure out why certain situations happened, and everyone's in 2020. It's just been wild. So for me, I've been trying to really say, you know what, this is giving me time to spend time with Cam, and that's been 3 months where I would be in and out doing my thing on the road, and now I spent 3 full months, and he went from 6 to 9 months, which is massive changes. So to be able to give him food, see him crawling, interactive, laughing, call and response. I go, he goes. So it's just things like that are just like
I still do that.
That's the next segment.
Yeah. Has he said a first word? Well, actually, you guys are Puerto Rican. So has he said any big pun lyrics yet?
No, but Capital Punishment will be one of the first albums that he listens to. That album
that is crucial.
Put a little Jealous One Still Envy on in case he's more of a Fat Joe guy.
I know. Listen,
what is because in New York, this was my childhood. There was a big rivalry between Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. Well, I don't know what it was like in Pennsylvania. I don't know how many Dominicans are in Pennsylvania.
Lancaster has a massive Puerto Rican population.
Massive Puerto Rican.
So, but did you grow up with any kind of any competitiveness with Dominicans? Because I definitely did.
The thing is, in Lancaster, there's like 40% of the city's almost Puerto Rican. It's weird. There's a weird migration path from like Puerto Rico to Brooklyn. My dad was born in Brooklyn, you know. And then from Brooklyn to Lancaster, I'm telling you, it's really odd.
Look, I was confused myself when I went there. I'm like, why? I thought they followed me. I'm like, did I do something in New York? Why y'all here?
But seriously, so there was so many around in Lancaster that there wasn't as much of a, I would say, kind of that fight. But every once in a while, when people mistakenly would call you Mexican or Cuban or something, you get that little like, nah. Like there's a big difference.
Yeah,
my baseball team's better.
But them white boys weren't ready for that softball game, were they, huh?
Not at all. They didn't want it.
We got more with Zarek when we get back after this.
Thank you so much, Zarek Valentin, for joining us. We appreciate your time. Yeah, dude. I mean, we have to get you back on the show because there is so much we can talk. I mean, we didn't even talk about your podcast with Jeff Attinella. There's so many other subjects that we could cover. More things about playing for Puerto Rican national team. We got to get you back on. So thank you again for joining us. Is there anything you want to let people know before we sign off?
No, listen, I thanks a lot for having me, guys. It's been a blast. This is probably one of the most fun interviews I've done. Even if you call it an interview, I would just call it a chat. Hang out.
There you go.
Thank you, man.
So for me, it's just been fun. If you want to follow me to either laugh with me or laugh at me, it's all good. Through the pod, it's all good.
All right, dude. Well, thank you. Make sure you follow at Fubo Sports on all social media. Subscribe to the Fubo Sports YouTube channel if you'd like to see full episodes of the show. And follow us at Soccer Cooligans on all social media platforms. So let us end the show the way we normally do. So
we need to do this with Zarek holding up the bacons. Show him the bacons.
Oh,
Put those bacons on camera while we do this goodbye. There we go.
Okay. So for Zarek Valentin with the bacons and the ribbon, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
And together, what are we?
The Cooligans! Yo, thank you so much for watching that content right now. Right now, we're staying at home. Thank you so much for staying at home. In fact, if you subscribe, you can watch all the other content we have right now that we're doing from our living room here on Living Room FC version of the Cooligans.
What a great opportunity to subscribe and watch more videos of us, the Cooligans, on Fubo Sports.
That's right. Hit the subscribe button. You're not doing anything else right now. In fact, what you're doing is listening to us. So if you really love us, you'll do two small things. One, hit the subscribe button. And two, I don't know, maybe give us your credit card number and the last 4 digits of your social. Nothing crazy.
2 small requests.